Some villains feel carefully crafted while others are empty. Take Chef Skinner. He's loud, dramatic, but nothing really sticks. Then there's Syndrome, a villain with purpose, history, with a whole arsenal of gadgets to take down supers. Every move he makes matters. Every scene drives the story. And then you have Screenslaver. Flimsy motives, no meaningful backstory, and nothing truly memorable to hold on to. So why does one villain feel sharp and purposeful while the other feels lost? Why is Syndrome genius and Screenslaver not so much? To begin, let's go back to where it all started. Syndrome is the dark reflection of Mr. Incredible, the monster Bob unintentionally created by rejecting a lonely kid who just wanted to help. One moment of ego, one go home buddy, and bam, supervillain origin speedrun.
You don't have to worry about training me. I know all your moves, your crime-fighting style, favorite catchphrases, everything. I'm your #1 fan.
What does Syndrome actually do? He forces Mr. Incredible to face everything he's ashamed of. The lies, the midlife crisis, the fear that without the suit, he's nothing. Syndrome doesn't just attack cities, he attacks Bob's identity. His vengeance has grown up. He's the consequences of a hero who forgot to be human. Every move he makes pushes Bob to either evolve or destroy his own family. And that is the entire emotional spine of the Incredibles. Now look at Evelyn or Screenslaver. She pretends to be a friend of the supers.
Yeah, I invent the stuff. He's good at people, pleasing them, engaging them, figuring out what they want.
She plays the relaxed tech genius who just wants to help. Cute, but once the twist drops, her plan exposes something much bigger. She's not trying to destroy Elastigirl, she's trying to cancel the idea of supers. Her issue has nothing to do with Helen's personal arc. Elastigirl's journey is about balancing family and purpose, reconnecting with motherhood, proving she is still relevant while her husband struggles at home. But Evelyn's vendetta? It's against her father's dependency on superheroes. And instead of challenging Helen's character, Screenslaver challenges society's screen addiction? Okay, cool, but where is the story tension? One villain pushes the protagonist into their deepest fear, the other villain rewrites the movie's thesis mid-film in hopes no one notices. A villain who doesn't shape the hero's arc isn't a villain, and that's the only surface issue. Let's get straight to the core difference. A villain's motive is either personal or it's a TED Talk. Syndrome knows exactly who ruined his life. Mr. Incredible crushed his dream and his identity with one sentence: I work alone. And we all remember how that moment ended in obsession. Every single thing Syndrome builds afterwards, killing heroes, evolving robots, manufacturing a fake savior narrative, all to erase the man who refused him. The motive is so clear that every conflict pushes on Bob's flaw, the ego he refuses to let go of. We feel the motivation because it's aimed at the protagonist, not the world in general. When Syndrome wins, Bob fails as a hero and as a father. When Syndrome loses, Bob finally understands what being a hero actually means. That's storytelling. Now look at Screenslaver, or more accurately, Evelyn, the actual villain who didn't want to wear the costume, the goggles, or apparently the responsibility of being interesting. Her motivation is, let's just say, very poor. People rely on screens too much. Great, that's a thesis in a college blog post, but not the spine of your villain. And what does that have to do with Elastigirl's arc? Exactly, nothing. Helen's story is about stepping back into the spotlight, rediscovering purpose, and adapting to a modern world. Evelyn's story? I don't like TV. It makes society lazy. Cool message, but who is she actually punishing? Not Helen personally, just the concept of heroism. Let's be honest, the only time Evelyn's motivation gets close to personal is when she explains her parents died waiting for heroes to save them.
But father insisted they call his superhero friends. He died. Pointlessly. Stupidly.
And the movie treats that as a side note or a quick justification before we never talk about it again. No follow-through, no emotional wound pressed against Helen's struggles, just a premise floating in space. And the worst part? When Screenslaver is winning, Elastigirl isn't learning anything, she's just inconvenienced. A great villain forces the hero to change. Syndrome does that. Screenslaver doesn't even force Helen to think. So if the villain's why doesn't hit the main character where it hurts, it doesn't hit us at all as well. Syndrome is a villain built on follow-through. The movie tells you exactly who he's going to become in the first 5 minutes of screen time, and then pays off every single promise.
Take this one home and make sure his mom knows what he's been doing.
I can help you. You're making a mistake.
He wants to replace real heroes? He builds machines that do exactly that. He wants credit? He manufactures disasters so he can arrive as the solution. He wants the world to cheer him? Well, we all saw that, right? There is no daylight between what he says, what he believes, and what he does. 1 + 1 = 2. Clean, sharp, satisfying. Now let's talk about Evelyn. Here, 1 + 1 = wait, what movie are we in? Screenslaver is introduced as a manifesto villain. Creepy, ideological, pointed. Then the reveal hits, and suddenly that villain wasn't a villain. It was a delivery guy and a pair of goggles. And then it's Evelyn, who doesn't actually care about screens, she just hates supers. This is a twist that never earns its setup, because the twist doesn't add clarity. It contradicts the story we were told. We're asked to throw away all the groundwork the film spent an hour building. The hypnotic philosophy, the commentary about simulations, the screen slavery metaphor, none of that belongs to Evelyn's character, as if they wanted to say, surprise, but all they got back was, what was the point? Meanwhile, Syndrome's twist isn't a twist at all. It's the inevitable outcome of his character. Every gadget he unveils is a step in his revenge-powered resume. The film lets us connect the dots and feel genius for doing it. When Syndrome reveals the Omnidroid plan, it deepens what we already knew. He didn't just want revenge, he wanted the spotlight, he wanted to rewrite who counts as a hero. When Evelyn unmasks herself, the film shrinks what we thought we were watching. Oh, it's not a psychological thriller about technology shaping our minds, it's a lecture about what?
The temperature around you is well below freezing. Try to stretch and you'll break.
Writers can't yank the steering wheel at the last second and then expect applause. A well-built twist should land like, of course, it was right there all along, and Evelyn didn't give us that, almost not at all. Here's the simplest storytelling rule no one should be allowed to forget. A villain must haunt the ending. Syndrome embodies that rule. He's the kind of antagonist who refuses to stay defeated. Every time the story pushes him off the board, he claws his way back on, stronger, angrier, and more sure of his twisted logic. Even when he's not in the frame, the threat he created keeps evolving without him. The heroes can't relax, the audience can't breathe, and that is by design. Because his plan never ends when the hero wins a round. You think Bob stops him on the island? Syndrome upgrades the plan. You think the Omnidroid is handled? Syndrome unleashes something worse. You think the family is finally safe? Syndrome targets their home next. Every action is a ripple that escalates. Every defeat reshapes the battlefield. He refuses to exit the film quietly, and that's exactly what makes him a great villain.
The baby's sleeping.
This is writing that understands a villain must be the final hurdle, not a temporary inconvenience. Now compare that to Screenslaver. She's a villain who vanishes from her own third act. While Syndrome is injecting tension into every scene he's not in, Screenslaver is technically in the movie, but not in the story. The heroes don't fear she'll come back most of the time, they don't remember she's still out there. Elastigirl literally gets released from hypnosis, and the narrative just races past it. A strong villain forces the heroes to change how they think, how they move, how they survive. Syndrome forces Bob to rethink what heroism even means. He forces the entire Parr family to evolve together. That evolution becomes the emotional spine of the movie.
What have we here? Matching uniforms? Oh no.
Screenslaver just forces a costume change, literally. And even at the very end, when everything should explode into a perfect storm of consequences, Evelyn doesn't grow more dangerous, more personal, or more psychologically aligned with Helen's fears. She just continues her thesis. Her climatic message is the exact same sentence she delivered earlier. There is no amplification of threat, no new angle, no deeper symbolic punch. It's repeating the setup instead of upgrading the conflict. When Syndrome falls, the audience feels the collapse of a global threat. When Evelyn falls, well, the audience kind of knew it was gonna happen because she is the villain, right? But her plan wasn't clever enough to make her hard to defeat. And if the villain leaves no scar, the movie leaves no memory. And the only reason the sequel is remembered at all is because the audience still loved the family from the first movie. And that's it. A villain's defeat should feel inevitable, not because the hero is strong, but because the villain breaks under the weight of their own flaws. That's the cleanest measurement of narrative intelligence, and in this category, the gap between Syndrome and Screenslaver becomes a canyon. Syndrome's downfall is the direct consequence of the very thing that made him terrifying. His ego refuses to accept that anyone can exist above him. His obsession with being seen and being the superior one cost him a lot. Some people might even think he just wanted to send a message that everyone can do anything. But that message turned into pure malice just because he wasn't accepted one time. You could say he kind of overreacted, right? He is portrayed as someone so desperate to be admired that he eliminates anyone who might challenge his spotlight, and that is genuinely disturbing. And when his ego reaches its peak, the movie delivers a perfect bit of narrative justice. The cape he wears, the symbol of a hero he can never be, gets stuck into a jet engine, the same kind of proud accessory real heroes abandoned long ago for a reason.
This isn't the end of it! I will get your son eventually! I'll get your son!
Syndrome's ending delivers one of the sharpest messages Pixar has ever written about heroism. His entire mission was built on the belief that anyone could be a superhero as long as they had the tech or whatever. But his death proves the opposite. It tells us that being a hero isn't something you manufacture. It isn't a brand or a costume or a dramatic entrance. Not everyone deserves to be a hero. Only those who carry goodness in their core can truly be. It's a brilliantly crafted ending for a brilliantly written villain. And of course, the audience will feel a bit disappointed when, after all that setup, we get a meaningless ending with Evelyn. She gets taken down by a simple lost fight. Just another plot point checked off. She doesn't fail because she was wrong. She fails because the movie is over. And that's the difference between a downfall and a stop sign. Evelyn was such a weak villain that the heroes literally had to save her in the end.
The fact that you saved me doesn't make you right.
And even her arrest felt unconvincing, but honestly, a character written like this doesn't even deserve a more dramatic ending, right? So in the end, why is Syndrome a genius and Screenslaver is not? Because Syndrome redefines what a villain means in this world, and Screenslaver doesn't even challenge it.